Hey, I do Bible time videos when God reveals something to me that changes my life, and I just have to share it. Stress. It's my ultimate test. It measures the integrity of somebody and how devoted they are to God, honestly. It's the true battle against flesh and spirit. The two are separated by how we respond to stress. And stress is broad and very diverse. It can be a subtle ninja creeping up on us or a freight train you hear and see coming down the tracks. Triggers that we can all relate to around stress can be work stress, stress from illness, difficult people at work, family complications, and having boundaries. What about just the unknown and planning for it, but then accepting change? Death, betrayal, broken promises, lies and deceit, or just growing in life and the way we're stretched. Now, maybe one of those stood out to you, but here's what I'm learning from myself. All those triggers, we're powerless against them. Willpower can only do so much, and we have a threshold that can break us, and we are always a caution of we might give into it. It's really dangerous, and this is where Satan thrives. It is the true battle against flesh and spirit. Satan wants us to only see what's in front of us, but God has an eternal plan to use it, separating flesh and spirit. And as this is a Bible time video, there's a scripture I read today that really helped me have a deeper understanding for other verses that we quickly go to, especially if I'm talking about stress and anxiety. Philippians 4:6, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. John 14:27, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Sometimes I fly by those verses too fast. And what spoke to me in my reading today, Hebrews 9, verses 11 through 14. Make sure you read it so you can see it in its actual context. And I'm going to kind of skim through this because it's going to help show why those verses I just flew by reading verbally, like why those actually have so much more to me than I even realized. So here we go. Hebrews 9, verses 11. But when Christ appeared as a high priest of the good things to come, he entered through the greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of his creation, and not through the blood of goats and calves, but through his own blood. He entered the holy place once and for all, having obtained eternal redemption. Side note, there's nothing else we can do. For what? Let's go to verse 14. How much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God, cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? In verse 15, for this reason he is the mediator of a new covenant. Jesus has done it all, where no willpower, no good deed will just clean it up on our own of what stress, what might be really halting us from getting to the next level. It's been done. And I know it seems simple, but when this week something stressful is going to hit you, or even today, we don't lean into God. If you think about everything in the Old Testament with the sacrifices, I need to do a deep study on this, but just the deeds and basically showing our need for the true sacrifice, and then we get to bear the fruit of Jesus shedding his own blood. In verse 14, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God, cleanse your conscience from dead works to serve the living God? Like, anything we try to do outside of God can be futile. And if we're trying to filter stress and how to respond to it, it is only with Christ. This is what I mean when I'm separating flesh from spirit. Willpower can't do it. So I go back to verse 27, John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. I do not give to you as the world gives. From Jesus. I mean, that's it. I do not give to you as the world gives. That's why if you haven't practiced leaning to God when stress is just hitting you or weighing you down, and you haven't practiced surrendering to Him in that moment, it sounds goofy and foreign. It just sounds like a crutch. But you have to practice it. It is not natural to man, but it works. I've been leaning to God more than ever. Sometimes I even have to do something before I pray to God. I just need to take a breath, just to slow down, and then at least it says, "Oh God, where did this breath come from?" It goes to God. Things are going to hit you unpredictably. This morning, I wasted 2 hours trying to help with the ministry project because there's someone I just depended on logistically, and they dropped the ball. We're all human, we make mistakes. I drove 45 minutes, had to turn around because I couldn't get clearance to go in and do this ministry project. There wasn't the right paperwork. And it was out of my control. There was nothing else I could have done. But I need to be dependent on God and not on man or how I can create a new system to fix something that was broken. I have to be dependent on God because what's really going on here? God might have a plan with it. Maybe it's a learning growth, brick by brick, so I'm trying to say, that can help us build a better system later on. Because this ministry is still going to be there. It's just today that was thrown off. And do I just freak out over inefficiencies and let my day be ruined? Or do I talk to God about it? It honestly led to this video being created. I hope you've made it through this far in the video because there's a word for you. And that is, imagine the patience that God has for just us not getting it. And so when other people might drop the ball, yeah, we need to respond to it and find out how to create a better system, but not getting it. And we have to be able to go to God to see what is the best way to respond if someone doesn't get it. Stress is an opportunity to become more of who we're spiritually meant to be. It's the tool to learn sanctification. And we can't just run into the world's way of reacting to stress. I've been tempted to drink when there's been a really, really tough day. But that does nothing. It only will harm me. It shuts God out. And it's wrong. If I resort to anything helping me cope besides God, I can even go to loved ones as my first way to get consultation. But it must be God first because humans are fallible. They will make mistakes. And even your loved ones, they might not get it. So stress is going to hit you this week. View it differently. Don't let Satan just run over you with it. God has plans for us to be more than conquerors. It's Romans 8:37.